totals, the future bets. So they come out and they say, here's the number. Will your team win more or less? Now, on average, fans tend to bet the overs. Those are called sucker bets. Generally, you're a little better off doing the under. Everybody's real optimistic. And it's so hard to even get to 11 wins in the NFL and go 11-6. That's hard for Baltimore and San Francisco. Just to give you a sense, Kansas City, Baltimore, and San Francisco have the highest at 11.5. And I think outside of Baltimore, I'd bet the under on Kansas City and San Francisco. You know how hard it is to go 12-5 in this league? You have injuries. You have tough road stretches. Everybody seemingly goes to a backup quarterback for a couple of weeks. But there were 6 that jumped out to me. 6 that didn't make a ton of sense. And I'm not saying they're going to go way over, but if I'm laying my cash, it's over or under. Here we go. So Green Bay, I would take the over 9.5. This is almost like, that's the number, 9.5. That's almost like a hedge against Jordan Love. They bring back an offensive coach who's excellent. Jordan Love at the end of last year, clearly a notch better than Dak, who people like. They return every tight end and receiver of note. They'll be better.
He's way more than a notch above Dak Prescott. He's young, so I get that. But Jordan Love proved, one, that he can handle the moment and can handle adversity, something that Dak Prescott, unfortunately, has not been able to do. He's younger. He's faster. He has a better arm. He's more resilient. He's healthier, so he's more mobile, just because Dak has just gotten injured a bunch of times and is older. There's nothing against Dak. It's just Dak is no longer some 24-year-old quarterback, just the reality. So he is a lot more. So it's crazy that the Cowboys are under 10.5, have their over-unders 10.5 wins, and the Packers are 9.5. I get the Packers are in a tough division, and it's not in the Cowboys, but I just think that that's kind of silly. And so I, without a doubt, take the Packers over 9.5, without a doubt. No question.
Defensively, under Boston College head coach Jeff Hafley, and they bring in Josh Jacobs. So they're young, they're dynamic. The NFC's the weaker conference. Jordan Love looked fantastic. This feels like, to me, a hedge against Jordan Love. And I know the division's better. It's not that much better. Green Bay's still probably better than Chicago and much better than Minnesota. Take the over on the Packers, 9.5.
Yeah, okay. I realize I'm going to do this individually now, rather than just do this in a group. I think, without a doubt, that the Packers have a tremendous amount of upside. I think football right now, it's going to be tough. It's going to be dense. There's a lot of competition. I put a lot of these teams in the groups, but I put the Packers in the same category as, say, the 49ers, the Lions, the Eagles. I'm going to be missing teams. The Rams. I really think all of these teams can win a Super Bowl and at least make it to the NFC Championship. There's not a single doubt in my mind. It will all come down to who's healthiest. Is it home or away? What's the weather like? Because that can definitely matter, right? Some teams are going to be more built to endure freezing cold weather, rainy, windy, whatever it may be. If what makes a team really special is the quarterback's arm, if it's incredibly windy and freezing, you neutralize that. It's not, you can't rely on that as much. So I think that these teams, though, are all very evenly matched. I think the Packers feel amazing coming off what happened last season. They were a play away from beating the team that was a play away from winning the Super Bowl, which I know sounds kind of funny to say it like that, but it just means that they belong, that it wasn't a fluke. They demolished the Cowboys, and they held their own, and some would say probably should have beat the 49ers. And so I think that there's a lot of truth to that. So I think that the Packers are going through their own growing pains. They had the success of winning, especially on the road, which now, like, that really kind of turbocharges your experience, so to speak. And I really think Jordan Love will continue to progress. I get the argument that, listen, we've only seen so much of Jordan Love, that we've seen some bad games and some good games, and we can't just say just because the most recent games were good games means that that's the trajectory that he's going to continue. I think it is a valid argument. It's not what I'm predicting. What I saw from Jordan Love post-Thanksgiving onward, and especially in the playoffs, I saw an absolute bona fide star. Now, it doesn't mean that he's not going to have issues. Doesn't mean that he's not going to have games where he throws like 4 interceptions or just something awful and does a boneheaded, throws across his body and thinks that he's Patrick Mahomes. That's going to happen. But there is a difference. Matt LaFleur is an elite head coach, a great head coach. He has a team that really wants to listen to him, which is what Aaron Rodgers didn't want. And he has a quarterback who will listen to him, at least seemingly. At least that's the impression that I get from Jordan Love. And I think so much before was trying to get Jordan Love his own identity, to take these chances, to have to play less scared, which Jordan Love, it seemed like in the beginning of his career, of him actually playing, he was playing more scared. Matt LaFleur couldn't get him to do what he needed to do. Now, they talk about this in acting in general and sports to a degree. It's harder to bring someone up. Let's say you're acting and you need to scream at someone, right, in the role. It's a lot harder for a director to get that actor to scream rather than have them scream so loud and be too much and pull them back. And I think that definitely applies in sports. It's a lot harder to get, the best example I could use this is for defense, especially like in basketball. It's a lot harder to get someone to play that hard defense rather than someone who's playing too hard a defense and now they're fouling someone to pull them back and bring them back. So it was really hard. That's why LaFleur was trying to be like, it's up to Jordan Love. It's up to him. He was making certain comments, publicly to be like, it's up to Jordan Love, man. Like, I gave him the resources. I'm giving him the plays. I'm doing everything I can to support him. It's up to him to take that chance. And he did, and he was successful. So I think that confidence is there now. Now part of managing Jordan Love is pulling back the mistakes, which is what Andy Reid does so beautifully with Patrick Mahomes. I talk about this a lot. Anytime Patrick Mahomes starts to deviate and go too far on the other end of the spectrum of being too crazy, too extreme in terms of being his Patrick Mahomes magic, Andy Reid is the perfect guiding hand to say, all right, I know you can do all this amazing stuff. There's a time and a place. That's not it right now. And I think that's what Matt LaFleur will be able to do with Jordan Love. And the perfect example of that also is what we saw at the end of the playoffs when he threw across his body and it was not the right play. Understandable. He's young. He's learning. I don't even hold his feet to the fire for that. That is just what's going to happen when you're a new quarterback in the NFL and playing in the playoffs. But I like the fact that he had the courage to do that. There's a big difference. There's a big difference. It's a lot harder to convince a quarterback to take that shot down the field, to throw that ball, than to not throw it at all. So I think Matt LaFleur has a lot more to work with now going into this season than he did last season because he has an elevated Jordan Love. And so that will open up the playbook, that will open up the offense, that will take pressure off the defense, and it'll just get everyone excited. And everyone's just older, more mature, and more experienced of playing with each other. So I really think the Packers have a chance to be a great team. I'm not seeing why they won't be. The only reason why you could counter that is that everyone's getting real good now. The Eagles should be improving. The Detroit Lions should be improving. The 49ers should be probably just as good as they were last season. And the Rams should be improving. So really, it's just everyone's getting more competitive right now. It's going to be of who can minimize the mistakes. To me, that's how the Chiefs won the Super Bowl last season, was they minimized their mistakes. They didn't play necessarily, they weren't necessarily the best team relative to some of the other teams, but they just minimized their mistakes better than the other teams, better than the 49ers, the Ravens, the Bills, etc. And that's how the 49ers kind of outlasted the Packers. They made less mistakes. It's that simple. But the Packers absolutely positively could have won that game. So I really think that I will absolutely take the Packers over 9.5. And those are just my thoughts. But I would absolutely love to hear yours. What do you think about the Packers? Do you think the Packers have a true chance of making a playoff, of course making the playoffs, but making a true deep playoff run, making the NFC Championship, dare I say even getting to a Super Bowl or winning a Super Bowl? Let me know in the comments below. And if not, what do you think their win total is? Over 9.5, under 9.5? Let me know. I read every single comment. So whether you agree with me or disagree with me, either way, let's get in some discussions. Let's get in some fights. But ultimately, let's just have some fun. And please do consider subscribing. We are building an amazing community here, and I would absolutely love to see you part of it. I want to build something that we all genuinely feel connected to. Something that we're really excited to be part of, and I think we're well on our way to doing it. And please don't forget to give this video a thumbs up, as it really does help with the visibility and the algorithm. Thank you so much. and see you next time.